Imagine standing at the edge of a forgotten world, where the air itself feels thick with secrets. The Spanish moss hangs like funeral veils from ancient oaks, swaying gently, even when there is no wind. The ground beneath your feet once pulsed with the footsteps of governors, cotton kings, enslaved people, prisoners of war, and dreamers who believed they were building the heart of a new state. But now, only silence answers back, broken occasionally by whispers that no living voice can explain. This is Old Cahawba, Alabama's most famous ghost town, a place where history didn't just fade away, it was violently swallowed by rivers, war, ambition, and time itself. Nestled in Dallas County, in the heart of central Alabama in the southern United States of North America, Cahaba sits at the dramatic confluence of the Cahaba and Alabama Rivers. These waters that once brought wealth and life would later become the town's merciless executioner. Long before any American flag flew here, this land whispered with older ghosts. Archaeologists believe a mighty Mississippian Native American village possibly stood on this very spot, perhaps even the legendary Maubila, destroyed by Hernando de Soto in 1540. When Alabama's first governor, William Wyatt Bibb, surveyed the area in 1818, he found ancient mounds and ruins. Undeterred, he chose this exact location to carve a new capital out of the wilderness. In 1819, Cahaba was born. By 1820, it officially became Alabama's first permanent state capital. Picture it in its prime. Wide streets laid out in a grand grid, a proud brick capitol building rising at the center, fine homes with columned porches, bustling hotels, stores overflowing with goods shipped up the river, a state bank, churches, and the constant creak of wagon wheels and riverboats. Planters in tailored coats discussed cotton prices while their enslaved workforce toiled in the surrounding Black Belt fields that made this region one of the wealthiest in the young nation. Cahaba was no sleepy village. It was a symbol of Alabama's bold future, positioned perfectly for trade, politics, and power. Yet, even in those early triumphant years, trouble stirred beneath the surface. Governor Bibb, the town's greatest champion, died in 1820 after a riding accident. Without his fierce advocacy, cracks began to show. The rivers that brought prosperity also brought devastating seasonal floods. In 1821, and again in later years, muddy water surged through the streets, filling homes and eroding confidence. Lawmakers grew tired of wet feet and ruined documents. In 1826, they voted to move the capital to higher, safer ground in Tuscaloosa. Cahaba lost its crown, but it refused to die. Stripped of its political glory, the town reinvented itself as a thriving antebellum river port and cotton trading center. Wealthy planters built lavish mansions. Merchants grew rich. By the 1850s, Cahaba was one of the most prosperous small towns in Alabama, with a population that swelled with ambition. Stately homes lined the streets, gas lamps flickered at night, and the sound of laughter, music, and commerce filled the air. But this golden age rested on the brutal foundation of slavery. Enslaved African Americans formed the backbone of the economy and the town itself, their unseen labor creating the wealth that built those grand facades. Then came the Civil War, and everything changed forever. Cahaba's strategic river location made it valuable. The Confederacy turned a large building in town into a notorious prison for Union soldiers. Thousands of captured Northern troops suffered in overcrowded, disease-ridden conditions. Many died here. Their ghosts, some say, still linger. When the war ended in 1865, emancipation brought new hope for formerly enslaved people. In the brief period of Reconstruction, African Americans in Cahaba sought political power, land, and education.
For a short time, the town saw a different kind of life, one of new beginnings amid the ruins of the old order. But it was not to last. Floods returned with a vengeance.
The economy of the South lay in tatters. Railroads bypassed the old river town. One by one, families packed up and left. By 1870, the population had plummeted to around 300. Bricks from collapsed mansions and public buildings were salvaged and floated downriver to build newer structures in Selma. What couldn't be carried away was left to rot, crumble, or burn. By the early 1900s, Cahaba was essentially a ghost town. The streets that once echoed with political debates and riverboat horns fell silent. Nature began her slow, relentless reclamation. Today, Old Cahawba Archaeological Park preserves what remains. You can walk the original street grid, now grassy lanes framed by towering oaks draped in moss. Foundations of homes and stores mark where life once thrived. A few brick ruins still stand defiantly, silent witnesses to a lost era. 2 historic cemeteries hold the graves of both the prominent and the forgotten, including a new cemetery many visitors say feels the most charged with presence. The restored St. Luke's Episcopal Church, moved away long ago and later returned, offers a quiet anchor amid the wilderness. Interpretive signs tell the stories, but they cannot capture the feeling that settles over you as the sun dips low and long shadows stretch across the empty town. And then there are the ghosts. Cahaba has earned its place among the world's spookiest ghost towns for good reason. Visitors and locals alike have reported eerie experiences for generations. Shadowy figures in period clothing drift between the trees. Phantom footsteps crunch on gravel where no one walks. Disembodied voices whisper names or fragments of conversation. Some hear the rustle of hoop skirts or the distant cries of babies. The most famous legend is the light that walks, a mysterious glowing orb or lantern that moves through the river fog at night, carried, they say, by a restless spirit searching for something lost long ago. The prison site, the cemeteries, and certain ruined foundations seem especially active. Even during daylight hours, people have hurried back to the visitor center with wide eyes in stories of sudden cold spots or the unmistakable feeling of being watched. Is it imagination fueled by the town's tragic history? Or do the souls who lived, labored, fought, and died here simply refuse to leave? Cahaba doesn't give easy answers. It invites you to walk its silent streets and decide for yourself. As you stand there, listening to the wind move through the leaves and the distant murmur of the rivers that both gave and took everything, you understand something profound. Cahaba is more than a ghost town. It is a powerful reminder of how quickly fortune can turn, how rivers and wars and human decisions can erase even the most ambitious dreams. It is a monument to the rise and fall of the Old South, to the enslaved hands that built it, to the soldiers who suffered here, and to the freed people who briefly glimpsed a new life. In the end, the moss keeps growing, the rivers keep flowing, and the ruins keep their watch. Old Cahaba waits in the Alabama woods, beautiful, haunted, and forever whispering its unfinished story to anyone brave enough to listen. If you ever find yourself driving those back roads southwest of Selma, consider turning toward the confluence. Park your car, step onto those grassy streets, and feel the weight of history pressing gently against your skin. Just remember, you might not be walking alone.